Hello everyone, welcome to revision class series of Financial Accounting 6. I am Ms. Akila Pai, Assistant Professor and Head Department of Commerce, Sri Venkatramana Swami College, Bantwal. Today in this revision class, I am going to revise on the chapter Liquidator's Final Statement of Accounts. This is the first chapter discussed under Financial Accounting during this semester. In this session, I am going to emphasize only on the important theory as well as problems which were asked in the previous year's question papers. So let us move on to the first concept. The first important theory concept is what is liquidation and briefly explain different modes of liquidation of a company. So here let us first understand what is the meaning of liquidation. Liquidation is the legal process by which the company comes to an end or it gets wound up. It is the process by which company realizes all the assets, pays off all the liabilities and surplus if any remaining that will be distributed among the shareholders in accordance with their rights. So in simple words, you can understand that liquidation is a legal process by which a company's business will be completely closed down. So under the procedure of liquidation, the company has to realize all the asset which is available with the company, and whatever the sale proceeds they get, that should be used for paying all the liabilities and debts of the company. If still any amount remains, that will be used for distributing the amount among the members of the company according to their rights. Okay, this is the meaning of liquidation. Then coming to the modes of liquidation, the liquidation is broadly classified into three categories. The first one is compulsory winding up by the court, and the second one voluntary winding up by the members or creditors, and the third one winding up under the supervision of the court. So let us see what is the meaning of compulsory winding up by the court. Compulsory winding up is a case of liquidation where it is brought about by an order of the court. So here the court will order that the company has to go for liquidation. Then the company will not have any other option other than going for liquidation. Now, why the company has to go for compulsory liquidation? What are the reasons? The reasons could be the company might have failed in reporting the statutory report with the registrar of company, or the company might have not commenced its business within a year from its incorporation, or it has suspended its business for a whole year, or it does not have minimum number of members as per the Companies Act of 2013, or it might have not been in a position to pay its liabilities or debts, or the company might have been indulged in illegal activities. Okay, there are so many other reasons also. So because of all these reasons, the court will make an order that the company has to compulsorily go for liquidation. So this is the meaning of compulsory winding up by the court. Then coming to the second one, that is voluntary winding up by the members or creditors. So here this second one is subdivided into two, that is voluntary winding up by the members of the company and then voluntary winding up by the creditors of the company. So voluntary winding up by the members of a company is a case of liquidation which is initiated by the members, nothing but shareholders of the company. They will pass a resolution voluntarily in their meeting that the company has to go for liquidation. Okay. On the other hand, in case of voluntary winding up in case of creditors, that will be initiated by the creditors of the company in their meeting. Okay, they will pass the resolution that the company has to go for liquidation. Then the third case is winding up under the supervision of the court. Here it is a case of voluntary winding up, but it will be done under the supervision of the court. The court will make an order that voluntary winding up shall continue subject to the supervision of the court. Such an order will be passed by the court on the application of either the creditors of the company or the members of the company itself when the liquidator is prejudiced or he is negligent in collecting the assets of the company, or the resolution of winding up or liquidation was obtained by fraud. The liquidator will continue to exercise all his powers, but the powers will be exercised under the supervision of the court. So these are the three different modes of liquidation. So this is about the first concept. It might appear for 6 marks in the examination. Now let us move on to the second concept, that is who is the liquidator? State the functions of liquidator. Liquidator is a person or he is an officer who takes the company into his custody, realizes the assets, pays off all the liabilities and at the end distributes the remaining amounts among the members of the company as per their rights. So here you can understand that liquidator is a person or he is an officer who takes care of the entire procedure of liquidation. He takes into his custody the entire company and also all the assets of the company. So those assets will be realized, that is sold out, and whatever the sale proceeds he receives, that will be used for paying off the liabilities and debts of the company. After paying all the debts of the company, if still any amount remains, that will be used for distributing the amount among the members of the company, that is shareholders of the company, according to their rights. Okay. For example, if there are preference shareholders and equity shareholders, first he has to make the payment to the preference shareholders and then to the equity shareholders. Okay. So this is the meaning of liquidator. Okay. So let us see what are the major functions performed by the liquidator. The first function is realizing of assets. So here the liquidator has to realize all the assets of the company after he takes into custody the entire company. Okay. Then the second one, collecting money from the contributories. As you know, the contributories are divided into two categories, A list contributories and B list contributories. If any amount is pending to be recovered from the contributories, that he will do in the second function. And the third one, payment towards liabilities of the company. So now the liquidator has the sale proceeds of the assets as well as the amount collected from the contributories. So this total amount will be used for paying all the debts of the company and all the liabilities of the company. Okay, that is the third function performed by the liquidator. Then coming to the fourth function, distribution of remaining amounts among the members. Okay, after paying all the debts and liabilities of the company, if still any amount remains with the liquidator, that will be distributed among the members, nothing but shareholders of the company, in accordance with their rights. Then the last function is submission of reports on periodical basis. The liquidator has to submit periodical report to the concerned people based on the mode of liquidation. Okay, so these are the major functions performed by the liquidator. So these are the two important theory concepts. That is, first one is what is the meaning of liquidation and briefly explain the mode of liquidation. And the second one is who is the liquidator and state the functions of liquidator. So usually these two theory aspects will be asked in the exam. Now let us see what is the specimen of preparing the liquidator's final statement of account. So here this statement has two sides. The first, on the debit side we are writing all the receipts, and on the credit side we are writing all the payments. Under the receipt side, first we have to write two balance brought down. That is, we have to write what is the cash balance and the bank balance available with the company before the company goes into liquidation. Then the second one, two realization of assets. So whatever the assets realized by the liquidator, so we have to list down all the assets along with their realized values, and then total should be taken to the outer column. Then the third one, two surplus collected from the secured creditors. So before the liquidation, if any asset of the company was given as a security to avail the loan, then if there is any surplus amount with the secured creditors, then that surplus amount will be collected by the liquidator. So that will appear as a third item. Then the fourth item is realization from calls in arrears. If any calls in arrears was there before the liquidation, that amount will also be collected by the liquidator. The last item is realization from unpaid calls. If the company has partly paid up shares and if the liquidator feels that whatever the amount so far he has is not sufficient to pay all the debts of the company, then he will make the fresh call for collecting the unpaid calls. Okay, when he realizes that amount, that will appear as a fifth item. So these are the receipts at the time of liquidation of a company. Now coming to the payments, first you have to write legal expenses in connection with the liquidation. Then the second one, to write the liquidator's remuneration. The remuneration can be calculated as a percentage on the amount realized or the percentage on amount distributed to the shareholders or creditors of the company. And the third item is liquidation expenses. Fourth item is by debenture holders or any other secured creditors secured by floating charge on the assets of the company. So here when we write this fourth item, that is debenture holders amount or secured creditors amount which have floating charges on the assets, we have to also write the outstanding interest on debentures, if any, till the amount is paid to them. Okay. Then the next item is overriding preferential payments. Then you will have preferential creditors, unsecured creditors, and after the amount is paid to the unsecured creditors, the last item is to make the payment to the contributories. Contributories are nothing but the shareholders of the company. As I said, when the remaining amount has to be distributed among the members, that will be done according to their rights. If the preference shareholders are there, first he has to make the payment to the preference shareholders. If there are any arrears of preference dividend, that should also be paid if the condition of liquidation provides for that. Okay, then the next one, he will make the payment to the equity shareholders. Sometimes the equity shareholders will be participating in nature, so in that case, still if any amount remains after returning the equity share capital, so that in the surplus some amount has to be paid to the preference shareholders and the remaining amount has to be paid to the equity shareholders. So these are the items of receipts and payments when the liquidator's final statement has to be prepared. Okay, so now you have to write in the same sequence. Okay, for writing in the same sequence itself, there will be marks in the exam. So you should not miss this sequence while preparing the liquidator's final statement of accounts. So now let us see one question which had appeared in the year 2019 for 6 marks. Aroma Limited went into voluntary liquidation. The following was its position. They have given assets realized is 4 lakh, which excludes securities given to secured creditors. Then the next one, share capital, that is equity share capital, was rupees 1 lakh. Secured creditors rupees 35,000. Securities realized was 45,000. Preferential creditors 10,000. Unsecured creditors 1,50,000. Debentures having floating charge on all the assets 2,50,000. Then liquidation expenses 5,000. Liquidators remuneration 10,000. Prepare liquidator's final statement of account allowing for his remuneration, means liquidator's remuneration at 2% on the amount realized and 2% on the amount distributed to the unsecured creditors other than preferential creditors. So this is the question. Now let us analyze the question. When we prepare the liquidator's final statement of account, as I said, on the receipt side, first we have to write the opening balance, if any. In this question, they have not given any opening balance. Then the second item is for writing the assets realized. So here they have given the amount of assets realized is 4 lakh. Okay, so that has to appear as a first item. 2 assets realized, that is amounting to 4 lakh. Then the second item is to write the surplus collected from the secured creditors. Here you have this item. The the amount of secured creditors is 35,000, but the asset which was given as a security has realized 45,000. So after deducting their loan amount, still 10,000 will remain with the secured creditors, that will be collected by the liquidator. So the next item will be surplus collected from the secured creditors. 45,000 minus 35,000, amount will be 10,000. Then they have not given any information with regard to calls in arrears or calls made by the liquidator. So only 2 items will appear on the receipt side. So here on the payment side, we have to again go according to the sequence. First item is to write the legal expenses in connection with the liquidation procedure. That item they have not given. So the second item is to write the liquidator's remuneration. So here we have to write this item, but the amount will be calculated later in the working note. Then the third item is liquidation expenses. Here they have given liquidation expenses amounted to 5,000. The fourth item is to write the debentures having floating charges on all asset amounting to 2,50,000. The next one is overriding preferential payments. They have not given, so you can skip that. The next one, preferential creditors amounting to 10,000. Okay, this item. The later we have to write unsecured creditors. Unsecured creditors, actually amount to be given to them is 1,50,000, but we do not know whether sufficient amount is available. So what we have to do is we have to first calculate what is the liquidator's remuneration to be given to them. Here it is said that liquidator's remuneration which was fixed is 10,000. In addition to that, he should also be given 2% on amount realized and also 2% on amount distributed to the unsecured creditors. So now what is the total amount receipts we have? 4,10,000. Out of that, already 5,000 of liquidation expenses is paid, then debenture holders of 2,50,000 is paid, and preferential creditors of 10,000 is already paid. So total amount paid so far is 2,65,000. So in order to return the entire amount of unsecured creditors, that is 1,50,000, there is no such amount. So we have to first calculate what is the liquidator's remuneration. So now let us calculate what is liquidator's remuneration, total amount. Okay, the fixed amount as given in the question is 10,000. In addition to this, we have to also calculate 2% on the amount realized and 2% on the amount distributed to the unsecured creditors. Now coming to the 2% on amount realized, as you know here, the other assets realized is 4 lakh and the secured asset realized is 45,000. So total amount comes to 4,45,000. On that we have to calculate 2%, which comes to 8,900. The next one is 2% on amount distributed to unsecured creditors. Here, if we are able to return the entire amount of unsecured creditors, that is 1,50,000, then we can easily calculate. So 1,50,000 into 2 divided by 100. But in this question now the amount remaining is only 1,26,100. This amount is not sufficient to return the entire amount of 1,50,000 to the unsecured creditors. So in this case, how to calculate the liquidator's remuneration? So when the amount is not sufficient to return the entire balance to be paid to the unsecured creditors, we have to remember one thing: whatever the remuneration to be paid, that will be included in this 1,26,100. So that is why we have to calculate the remuneration like this: 1,26,100 into 2 divided by 102, because that amount includes the remuneration. So when you do this calculation, you will get 2,473. So this is the remuneration to be paid to the liquidator on the amount distributed to the unsecured creditors. So now you can get the total of all this. It comes to 21,373. So now if you go back to the statement, you can write this amount, total amount given to the liquidator as a remuneration, 21,373. Now after this we have to calculate what is the ultimate amount given to the unsecured creditors. So that you can show as a second calculation. So amount distributed to the unsecured creditors is 1 lakh. From 1,26,100, it includes this 2,473. So we have to deduct that. The remaining balance would be 1,23,627. So this is the final balance to be distributed among the unsecured creditors. So you can go back to the statement and fill this amount also. So your liquidator's final statement will tally at 4,10,000. So this is the way in which you have to prepare liquidator's final statement of account. So please remember, when you are preparing the statement, you have to follow the same sequence as you see in the specimen. In this revision class, I have taken up only one question. Please look for similar question in the question bank and also in the textbook. If you find any difficulty in understanding, please contact me. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.